A New York State government employee is outed for being a Chinese foreign agent. She's only the tip of the iceberg. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell, and I just want to thank you all so much. I made a push to get to 2 million subscribers by the end of the year, and in about a month, we have surpassed that. Thank you all so much. Unless you're watching and you aren't subscribed, in which case, what are you waiting for? Can 2 million people be wrong? We're going to have a special live stream to celebrate in just a few weeks, so keep your eye out for that. Now on with the show. The Chinese Communist Party considers America the biggest threat to its power, and it's doing everything it can to subvert it from within. For example, last week, the U.S. Department of Justice charged a former high-ranking New York State government employee with acting as an undisclosed agent of the Chinese Communist Party. The employee, Linda Sun, was an aide to both current New York Governor Kathy Hochul and previous New York Governor and prolific grandma killer Andrew Cuomo. But according to the indictment against her, she was also an aide to the CCP. Her pro-CCP leanings weren't exactly a secret. Here you can see her in 2019 standing alongside pro-CCP protesters against then Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen's visit to New York. And here you can see her posing at a banquet in Beijing celebrating the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China. But this is America. You're allowed to have opinions, even terrible ones, and associate with whomever you choose, even terrible people. But what you're not allowed to do is use your position in government to benefit the CCP and get something in return, which, according to the indictment, is exactly what she did. In her time working for the state of New York, she wore a lot of hats, including acting as chief of staff for Representative Grace Meng, back when Meng was at the New York State Assembly, and helping Meng's 2012 campaign for U.S. Congress. Sun was in a position to do a lot of things on the CCP's behalf. So, what did she do? Well, according to the Justice Department's indictment, acting at the request of PRC government officials and CCP representatives, Sun engaged in numerous political activities in the interests of the PRC and the CCP, such as blocking Taiwanese government officials from having access to the New York governor's office, changing politicians' public messages to suit the CCP's interests, such as by omitting Taiwan and the Uyghurs from speeches, obtaining an official New York governor proclamation for Chinese government representatives without authorization, attempting to facilitate a New York governor's visit to China, and arranging meetings for Chinese delegations with New York government officials. The only way she could have been more obvious would be changing the New York Capitol building's name to She's Little Darling's Playpen. But that's not all. Allegedly, Sun also obtained fraudulent official letters from the New York State Executive Chamber inviting Chinese government officials to visit New York, which the officials then used to illegally obtain visas to enter the U.S. She even secretly added a Chinese government official to a private New York State government conference call. In return for her services, Sun and her husband allegedly received payoffs that included millions of dollars in transactions, gifts, a boost to a family friend's business, and employment for Sun's cousin in China. You ever notice how these agents always get extravagant payoffs and never do it just because they believe in the message? What does that say about communism? According to the indictment, Sun laundered the proceeds to fuel a lavish lifestyle, including multi-million-dollar homes and luxury vehicles, all without letting the New York State government know. Keep in mind, as she was doing all this, she was getting instructions directly from people who she knew worked for the CCP. So Sun's case shows a lot about the CCP's priorities, including their obsession with image. For example, remember this tweet from Andrew Cuomo, thanking the Chinese government for 1,000 ventilators during COVID? According to the indictment, Chinese officials egged Sun to get some sort of thank you right before that post came out. What a coincidence. Now, it's also worth noting how interconnected China's web of influence is. See, the indictment also noted that Sun was allegedly hired as a committee member for the All-China Federation of Returned Overseas Chinese, a United Front Work Department organization that the CCP uses to influence overseas Chinese. Remember when I mentioned how Sun worked with Representative Grace Meng? Well, this past footage unearthed by the Daily Caller shows Meng in 2008 welcoming Lin Jun of that very same organization. Meanwhile, Meng is also connected with the New York-based Henan Association of Eastern America, which has identified Meng as a deputy chairman since 2008, as well as honorary chairman since 2012. The Henan Association of Eastern America has also been tied to the United Front Work Department, which is a branch of the CCP itself dedicated to spreading Chinese communist propaganda and harassing Chinese dissidents overseas. Now, I'm not saying Meng is working as a Chinese foreign agent, but Sun and Meng are definitely spending time in some of the same circles. And I wouldn't be surprised if Chinese officials from Henan are trying to influence Meng with a little help from a familiar face. After all, Meng has been quite comfortable with the kind of folks who'd want what the CCP wants. As Sun's case shows, China will go to great lengths to connect its people with American politicians, and it seems to really pay off. What we're seeing with Sun is just the tip of the iceberg. Who knows what may have gone on behind the scenes to influence New York City Mayor Eric Adams, for example, who skipped a 2023 banquet with Taiwan's president and rubbed shoulders with Chinese officials. I wonder what made Adams sign a friendship agreement with Shanghai that takes China's side on the Taiwan issue. Probably just another coincidence. China is using whatever it can to get close to politicians and influence them. Even innocent-looking events like this evening of Chinese culture could end up advancing CCP influence operations. It was attended by former Hochul Director of Asian Affairs Elaine Fan, and it was organized by the Sino-American Friendship Association, an organization founded by former CCP officials. China will use things like cultural exchanges, student programs, tourist trips, and promises of sweet, sweet economic deals and job growth opportunities to influence local politicians, like San Francisco Mayor London Breed and California Governor Gavin Newsom. And they are good at getting what they want, even from unlikely targets. For example, Representative Jim McGovern serves as commissioner in the China Commission and helped pass the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act in 2021. He's a promoter of human rights. Certainly he wouldn't pull punches against China on certain issues. And certainly what I'm saying right now isn't just a setup to show examples of him doing exactly that. McGovern voted against the so-called TikTok ban and the Biosecure Act, a bill that would have restricted China's Wuxi Biologics, a PLA-linked company. It just so happens that the company is building a facility in his district. You know, what's it called when this many coincidences keep popping up with the same common denominator? An even bigger coincidence. Nothing shady about this at all. And it's not just Democrats. New York GOP lawmakers made a friendship trip to China, funded by a group led by John Chan, a New York City-based activist who has led pro-Chinese demonstrations linked to the CCP, including the ones in San Francisco. He even attended a CCP meeting in China dedicated to influence operations. Republicans in Utah have also found themselves in the crosshairs of Chinese influence operations. Many went on trips to China and, for some reason, started singing praises of Chinese leader Xi Jinping and voted against legislation critical of China. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, a Republican, or a reptilian. China will try to woo you. And if you stand in the way of CCP influence, then you're in for a world of hurt. Democratic State Representative Ron Kim claims the CCP tried to steal his seat in the June Democratic primary, which is the most aggressive thing you can do with a seat, outside of bashing someone over the head with it like you're the Undertaker. Kim recalled how he got a call from someone in Cuomo's governor's office saying the Chinese consul general was upset with his resolution to commemorate U.S.-Taiwan relations, given that his opponent was E. Andy Chen, who was endorsed by the American Chinese Commerce Association, a group link to the CCP and John Chan, there's a chance Kim was onto something. And that something is, of course, if you've been paying attention, another coincidence. To keep exposing the CCP like this, I need your help. Contribute to the show on the crowdfunding website patreon.com/China Uncensored. You can contribute however much you want, but you could even set a monthly limit so you're only giving just $1 a month to the show. And as a thank you to everyone who contributes, I'll answer one of your questions at the end of these episodes. Today's comes from Terrence Wu. Please look at what Republicans voted for on 4/20/2024. Search Clerk House Bill 8035. That House vote was the real action taken by Republicans to defund Democratic allies in Ukraine and Taiwan. What are your thoughts on those House votes? Regards. This is a really great question for today's episode. So this is the bill, the Ukraine Security Supplemental Appropriations Act. I won't get into too much of the specifics of that bill, but basically what happened was it was voted down, largely by Republicans. Changes were made, and a few days later, the bill passed. I should also point out that the bill was introduced by Representative Tom Cole, a Republican from Oklahoma. And this is an issue I see all the time when covering China news. There is a huge partisan divide in the US right now. So many people think their team are the good guys, even when it comes to issues like China. This isn't true. As this episode shows, there are major problems in both the Democratic and Republican parties. There's also been many successes on both sides of the aisle as far as countering the CCP threat goes. Trump did many good things on China when he was president. So did Joe Biden. Usually when I say that, people's heads explode. Usually the line that people take is either that Trump is buddy-buddy with dictators or Biden was bought and paid for by the CCP. The reality is the CCP is an existential threat to the entire United States, Democrats and Republicans and reptilians, and we all have to work together to face the threat. Thanks for your question and your support, Terrence. And here's a video I want to show you in my ongoing attempt to hide controversial issues in gaming content to get around YouTube censorship. Here's a video about DEI in the just-released Warhammer Space Marine 2 game. Click here to check it out, and click that orange button to support the show on Patreon. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching China Uncensored.